Oh
So
my
you had like 6 guys go down on you and you made $120.
Armon, so basically that nationals was your shot, and then after that you cut a couple of years off, and as we see from like what happened to Sean Roden and other bodybuilders who take time off, is it seems they look it's lose quick to lose your condition and you can't become competitive again quickly.
Well, it wasn't really that. It was just my drive. Like I think athletes of every sport have that drive, like just like that hardcore drive. And when you lose that, you're just kind of like, and that's when the money was really going out of bodybuilding too. At least at that time, you could shoot for the magazine and make a little bit of money after the show. You could do these other websites like Muscle Gallery would pay like $7,000 for a shoot after a show, and then other stuff, and then just weird stuff. Like before North Americans, I told Bostin this already. Before North Americans one year, the guy I got a message, an email. And, you got to be gay friendly when you're doing bodybuilding, whatever, it doesn't bother me. So he was just like, hey, I'm a big fan. And muscle worship was like a big thing at that time. So you could, if you were cool with that, you could make thousands of dollars at a show. I mean, $10,000-$20,000 in a week before the show, like, or after the show. Yeah. So this guy was messaging about that, and he was like, "Are you cool with kissing and cuddling?" I was like, "No." I was like, "No, man, I'm not cool with that." He's like,
"That's my favorite." Like, that's what I was like. That's what I'm looking for, bro.
I'm not cool with the. I'm down for kissing, but not cuddling.
I like the cuddling myself.
And so. I was like, no. And he was like, okay, cool. I respect that. I'll be judging the North Americans. So at that time, people don't know. People were paying for the pro cards, and they were doing favors for the judges for pro cards at that time. So I don't think that really goes on anymore, because I got into judging for 5 years, but that doesn't really go on anymore.
Okay, Armon, I'm so glad you said this. Can you just tell me, please? I need to understand this. So my wife and I talk about this all the time. Every non-bodybuilder who watches my channel, whenever they talk to me, they're like, what's with these guys in the glutes though? Why are they always talking about the shredded glutes? Why are they always checking the glutes? And why are they taking pictures of their glutes and putting, like Ian Valliere, putting the glute shots? So Armon, explain something. I know all you guys look at the glutes because it's the body fat percentage. I know you guys think that way. My curiosity is this. Did the glute thing become an issue initially, potentially because of what may have been gay judges that then wanted the shredded glutes, and then the guys were like, oh yeah, it's for the fat content, let's do it, let's pay attention to our glutes and get them shredded?
Actually, I don't think at all. For us, like being Boston, that shows like the ultimate conditioning, like, oh shit, your glutes. And nowadays not many people have shredded glutes, but honestly, they weren't even. Gay guys would like the glutes big and full more than shredded.
They would like them off season. They like it off season.
Yeah. Yeah, they like the big bubble butts.
Man, a guy I know says that he claims that the Weider guys had all their athletes back in the 90s, like almost working to like, see gay people and, basically be like, I don't know what you would call it, like an escort or something. Yeah, but I don't know.
I don't know.
Other people deny it.
I don't know why people don't really talk about it. The bodybuilders talk about, because we all dealt with it at the time. Like, hey, you want to do that? You get your people were doing it for the pro card, or they were paying for the pro card. One chairman, I don't really want to say his. I mean, I don't have dealings with them, but Roteman was charging like $10,000 for pro cards. People like to be in the running, like, because you've seen shows. I know Boston sees shows where like, okay, that guy is top 2, top 3 maybe, and he'll place like 6th or 7th, or they'll purposely not put people in call outs because they don't want people to see how good they are compared to the guys that are going to get 1st or 2nd. So, I mean, you can't look like total junk and pay for your pro card or do a sexual favor, but that happened all the time. And it just like, I was just like, I'm going to be the best. I'm not going to do that. And that it didn't, a lot of guys turn pro legit, I'm sure, but I was really popular with the gays, and, and I did certain websites, non-nude. But
did you fucking shoot with Ulrich?
Yeah. But
It's like, yeah, of course, I know that guy.
Yeah. We were good for Ulrich's guy. I like guy. I like him.
Ulrich does some sick photography.
Yeah. My friend, did you know Chris Jalali?
No.
He's half Persian too. We kind of grew up bodybuilding together, and he passed away from oxycodone OD after his jaw surgery. But a lot about him too. He was with John O'Regan too. I went over his house. His cycle was crazy orals too. He ended up getting liver cancer, which I'm not really sure. Hani told him you can't get liver cancer from steroids. But
no, you can from androgens.
Yeah, I figured it could. So he had to have a liver transplant. If you Google his name, he was a good cover model. He's very, very photogenic. He had his liver transplant. They usually tell you to get a separate phone for transplant when it rings because you got like 6 hours to get to the hospital. He misses his liver transplant because he goes on some date to some girl and the phone dies. I wake up in the morning. I have like 800 missed calls from people trying to get a hold of him. And he missed his liver. And he was like, no big deal to him. He was like, oh, just wait for the next one. I'm like, dude, it's a liver transplant. You probably won't get a next one. But he did. And I was, he had a lot of other health scares. John O'Regan, he went to the USA's. He went there as a light heavyweight. He was using a lot of cytidrin at the time, which I think can cause hemorrhaging in the organs. Mm-hmm. And he went to the USA's, 198, looking amazing. Came back a month and a half later, 120 pounds. All his hair fell out all over his body. His eyes were completely red. All his skin was scaling in his body, and all his organs started failing. And he was lucky he lived because after prejudging, he started like vomiting. And luckily the girlfriend at the time was a nurse, and she's like, you got to go to the hospital. Because most of us would be like, oh, we're just sick. We'll just tough it out. No. She's like, no, something isn't right. And he was in ICU for like a month and a half. And he came back, and I was terrified to even take stuff. And I was young. I was still 21. So I just got to the national level.
Is that the same client of John O'Regan who got the liver cancer later? Or is
that's him. Oh, yeah, that's him. So he went through that, and then he got liver cancer, and then he broke his jaw from quitting benzos cold turkey. He had a seizure, and broke his jaw. Got it wired shut. Told not to work out. He still worked out. Then they had to do the other jaw. I heard jaw surgery is very, very painful, and he OD'd on oxycodone. Yeah,
that's sad.
My question is, with a liver transplant, is that a one-time transplant, Leo, or does it die like a kidney after 10 years, 15 years?
No, it will also expire. Usually, I think I'm just remembering, I think around 20 years. Okay. The difference with the liver transplant is, as you guys know, if your liver is not working for 5 minutes, you're dead immediately. So that's why Armon was saying like, hey, there's a liver transplant, so you got to take it seriously. Because if your liver does fail and the transplant's not ready, you're done. It's not like the kidney where you can go on dialysis. But yeah, it doesn't last. Yeah. The heart also doesn't. The heart transplant also is like average of 10 years. Some people get it to 20.
But going back to Ulrich, a lot of people shot with Ulrich like, man, Ulrich he kind of talks you into all the nude JO stuff. I was like, no one can talk me into that. So I go shoot with him first time. He's like, hey, you want to do the PG site or the X site? I was like, PG. He's like, okay, cool. He's like, how much do you want? I was like, or he's like, yeah, I pay this much. I was like, no, I want this much. He goes, what do you think? I'm a millionaire? I was like, I know you're a millionaire. He's like, okay, I'll give you this much. So I would shoot with him every year. So he was, he was awesome. He put you up in amazing hotels. He used to fly.
I was gonna shoot with him before I turned into a fat piece of shit. But
he used to pay great, but he stopped paying in 2000 and I think 14 or 15. So he'll still do your picks, like good bodybuilders. He'll do their picks and stuff, but they don't pay anymore. He just doesn't make the same money because DVDs don't sell, you know?
Yeah, I think I contacted him in 2013, I think.
He's a nice guy though. Like the Night of Champions, he used to fly people out there. He flew me and my fiance at the time out there, Night of Champions. His studio was under Jay-Z's. So, and then that's when I met I met Rick Collins there, met, what's a short, crazy guy? Greg Valentino, everybody was there. So I made a lot of good contacts. And so. Yeah.
One of my buddies wanted me to ask you a question on here. He wanted to know how much money you made from stripping.
A lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that?
Well, I started when before my first bodybuilding show. I had a buddy. He was older. He was like 35, 40. Because I was, first bodybuilding show. I was still in high school. So I was like, dude, I'm so nervous. He's like, dude, go strip, go do amateur night, and to get your nerves settled. I was like, what do I do? I don't dance. He's like, he's old school too. He's like, put these white boots on. And he showed me how to do this shuffle thing. I was like, I'm not doing that. And so he drove me up there. I was still in high school to La Brea, and he's like, I didn't wear the white boots, and I didn't do the shuffle thing. I just went out there and so started, and then a friend opened a club for women. And the club stuff was weird. There's too much drugs there, So
I've heard that, right? In the back, people are like always doing drugs before they go out.
Yeah, yeah. I had a couple of close friends that were just straight edge people. Got hooked on ice for a couple of years. Oh, that's why I hear
it's usually meth, right? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of meth, everything. Yeah. And then the girls were real crazy that went there. You had to act like they were your girlfriends and this and that. And so the strip programs are where they were popular back then. You would just go to the girl's house for bachelorette parties and stuff like that. And I didn't like doing this stuff. Like a lot of guys.
Like, let me be clear. It's not that I prefer to dance.
A lot of guys like doing it because it boosts their confidence. You could hook up with girls if you wanted to. I was just about making the money. So I was like, I'll call them, hey, come in there. Make sure you guys have, like 5s or 10s, not 1s. The girls always took 1. So you would do like the strip program parties on the weekend. So instead of going out, I would go do those and make, $500, $1,000 a weekend for parties. But when I went to the gay bars, because my buddy was like, dude, the gay bars are way more money. So I was like, oh man. And then I had one gay friend, because it's not like today where it's everybody's just so out. Back then people weren't out of the closet. And so I was just like, man, I don't know. And so he's like, let's just go up there and check it out. So I went up there by myself, no friends. And I was like, told the guy I wanted to work. He's like, okay, we'll put you on the schedule. Because at that time at the gay bars, it was all muscled up bodybuilders. And so I didn't know I had a big fan base then, because I was in a lot of magazines at that time. And so all the guys read the magazines. And so I worked the first night, and you just stand like on like a go-go box. And I'm not a dancer. I don't like dancing. So I'm just kind of up there. He was like, yeah, you can just flex. I remember this little Asian guy came up to me. He's like, hey, nice biceps, quads. And he was touching my legs. I was like, okay. And he was tipping me. I was like, oh, and I looked down, there was 6 $100 bills. I was like, is this crazy? So I was like, okay, so you could make work. So all my friends started working there afterwards before me. Like I had like every single one of my friends work, but it was like $500 to $1,500 a night for 4 hours you can make. And then it was nuts. But that changed when the older crowd, like most of the guys were discreet. Most people didn't know they were gay. They kind of got older. The young kids started coming in. It kind of became more like a club scene. That's when the money started to leave. And I think I was like, because I was like, I'm not stripping after I'm like 30.
So people don't make as much money these days as they used to, because people are out about it, everything?
Yeah, because when we do it, we were on a box. They weren't allowed to do anything gross to you. Yeah. And I made a lot of good friends out there. Like a lot of guys were married. They went there because it was discreet. Yeah. And then the managers at the main clubs in Dallas and Houston, they started selling coke out of there. They were all selling coke, and they used to play like real light techno music, and then they started playing loud hip hop music. That ran all the older rich men away and brought all the young kids in. And then they weren't paying money. And Bostin, did you ever know that website Muscle Service?
No, I don't know if that. No, but I was on the site and I saw you on there and I started dying laughing. I saw you and Craig Goliath on the same website. I started dying.
Was it Jimmy Z?
I'm not sure. It was when I was researching my gay for pay business.
I remember that. Wait, I have some questions. Armon, I have some questions. So explain this to me. My thought, by the way, Bostin, you ever been to the Adibi in LA? The club?
No.
You've heard of it though? Do you know it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, so there's a cool club in LA called the Adibi where this is the only. I've been to a few gay clubs in LA. There's like a gay section in LA called West Hollywood, and the Adibi is the most fun club I think there. And they have the like go-go dancers that are muscular that are standing up there. When I first went there years ago, I was dating like a lesbian at the time. She had just. It was interesting actually. She was a lesbian, bro. So she was lesbian and like she had just first guy she was dating was me. So all her friends were gay. So I went to the clubs with her and I hung out there a lot. And to be honest with you, Armon, I gotta tell you, going to a gay club for me was more fun almost than going to a normal club. Yeah. Gay guys are very polite when they know you're straight. In the club, like they don't harass you. I mean, even if they touch you a little bit, my thing though, Armon, this is my question. Number one, were the most people that are interested in muscular bodybuilders, were they like masculine gay tops or were they like the gay bottoms? Like that are friendly and girly and like, you know.
Yeah. Most of them, you couldn't even tell they were gay. And the thing, there's a term for just muscle worship and it has nothing to do with like sexual acts. And
but can you tell it? So it wasn't like, was it like, the reason why I ask is only because of this. I get intimidated when I go to those gay clubs. If the guy's like feminine and, you know, very polite and stuff, I'm not, you know, I don't feel like anything's going to happen to me. But when there's the like normal masculine guy comes, that's gay also, that's like masculine, then I get a little freaked out because I feel like those are the guys that are, you know, they're trying to fuck you. So it's like, I'm trying to avoid that shit. I don't even want to be around it. So anyway, I was curious what kind of those guys were involved with you guys.
Most of them were masculine. You couldn't tell, but there were some feminine ones too. But you know, I would tell my friends that came out there, I was like, it's your choice, your morals, which way you want to go. This is what I do. I don't do anything on that side. But that's your choice. And I had an advantage because I would go in there and guys would be like, oh my God, you're Armon Adibi. Why are you here? I'm like, how do you know me? He was like, oh, I saw you in Muscle Mag. And so the magazine, bodybuilding magazine stuff helped a lot. And you'd meet the weirdest people like this guy. He was a podiatrist. He was like, hey, will you come back to my hotel? I want to measure your feet for orthotics. And I'll send you orthotics and I'll pay you like $800. I was like, well, you're going to try to do something weird with my feet? He's like, no, I'm just going to measure them. I mean, there's countless stories. I mean, it's insane. I could write a book. But
Armon, bro, this is, my wife and I were literally just talking about this the other day. We were like, okay, male gynecologists, do they choose that job because they must choose it because they are obsessed with vaginas, right? And then the podiatrists also, like you wonder, I've always wondered, like, are these guys all guys with foot fetishes that went to medical school? And they're like, let me just enjoy my career. I'm gonna focus on feet full time. Well,
the OB, I don't think the OB is my friend. He's older now, but he was a gynecologist and he's like, dude, being a gynecologist makes you like not want vagina ever again.
I would imagine so, you know.
The infections, the matted hairs that they can't even, they had to cut it.
Oh my God, matted hair. I never heard that one before.
You
almost have too many stories. The matted hair one was...
That's not my story, that's this. But
I know.
most bodybuilders did all this, the dancing. I didn't do it. I just did it locally, and I'd drive to Houston like 4 hours away, and I was like, I'm not doing it after age 30. And nobody, would give you a hard time because they knew you weren't gay. And then, but they changed when the club changed, because after I left, I would still send clients, because bodybuilders, always a lot of them broke. Kind of like, you can go to this club and make money, and they're like, dude, they're doing lap dances. I was like, they're doing lap dances there now. He's like, yeah, they got a curtain back. I was like, oh, dude, I couldn't have done that. I was like, how much money do you make? He's like, well, I made 120. I was like, well, you do just dance on the guys? He's like, no, they go down on me for $20. I was like, so you had like 6 guys go down on you and you made $120? I was like, that's super depressing.
Oh my God.
But the girl, like tons of girls would go in the gay bars constantly. So when I was younger like that, you had your, and girls would be like, yeah, I'm just coming here because I don't want to be hit on by guys. And then they're trying to take you home every night. So it was fun when you're young because,
Bro, that wasn't much money for doing all that work for that guy. That really sucks.
I left before all that started though. My friends worked for a while and they were like, I was like, how much do you make? And some of them were bigger bodybuilder guys, and the whole bar's changed. They have all the, what they call them, twinks that work there now. The guys that are like 110, 120 pounds that are like all bottoms. So there's no money in it anymore, at least. And
I wonder, you know what I wonder, Armon? I wonder whether any of like the princes around the world and people like that ever used to fly out those bodybuilders back in the 80s and 90s. Because those are where you'd make a lot of money. Those guys make they pay a great deal. I bet you some of the bodybuilders were flown to like the oil-rich states and stuff like that before.
You had a lot, back then, I got personally tons of emails, and this one guy, he would email me and a few other friends constantly. It was hilarious. And, you'd get guys that want to wear football helmets and mouthpieces and give you boxing gloves and have you like punch them and kind of rough them up. It was like, we just laughed. But this one guy, he wanted to be beaten up and tied by a rope to like a Hummer and drove through a field. And I was like, this guy has to be kidding. And he's like, no, I was like, dude, we go to jail for that. He sent me a contract that's saying that the whole thing was written out, that he just wants to be dropped off an emergency room afterwards to heal up for a few weeks from broken bones. I mean, some of these people don't even believe the stories I have. I was like, these people they were legit. Like,